Hello, I'm Ben. Welcome to the channel. So today I'm just going to talk very briefly about what's going on in New York. I know a lot of people might have some questions around that, and there's been a lot of videos. But here's the thing: you had a attorney general go after Donald Trump for an investment he made in New York, where no law was broken, and I'll explain that in a moment. The claim was fraud occurred, which is insane, and it shows a complete misunderstanding of how real estate is managed and how properties are purchased in this country. So, but that's typical. You have attorney generals who don't know what they're talking about, and then you have a judge that's so hung up on politics and so stupid that they don't understand how the decisions they make create precedential law type issues for future investors of their city. So basically, long story short, New York just did what Detroit and Chicago did years ago, which made those two cities wastelands compared to what they once were. And now New York is going to be heading down that same path, which is unfortunate because it used to be one of the bright shining stars in this country. I don't think it has been for quite some time because the political environment and the politics have been so stupid that the citizens of the entire state of New York are penalized because of the stupidity of the city of New York, right? So this is just one more thing in that direction. So let me go through it real quick and I'll say this is what's happened. And to tell you how dumb these people are, the Attorney General this morning tweeted the total amount, 416 million and some change. That was what the person tweeted, just one number, because that's what Trump has been fined by this idiotic judge who doesn't understand real estate at all and is making judgments based on how this is done. So the claim is that Trump had participated in fraud. So here's the gist of it. He borrowed a certain amount of money on a building that they projected was worth a certain amount of money. So let's just say he projected the building was worth $1 million. And he borrowed $1 million on that building, and then he paid it off. Okay, so he borrowed money, used it for the construction and the proliferation of that project, and then turned around and paid that off with interest. Okay, that was what happened. And then this, the claim now is that the building wasn't worth the $1 million. It was more than that, but let's just use the million for the round number. The claim is that the building wasn't actually worth $1 million, so this was fraud because he borrowed that much money against it, and that was the issue. Here's the problem with that. People who build things do loans like that and borrow money like that and get investment funds like that so they can support projects and expand projects. And that's exactly how we've done it the entire history of this country. So let's break it down to like a citizen type level, the normal you and me type person. If you built a home and had a mortgage at the same time, you had to put down a down payment. And based on what that home was going to be, the company would lend money against it, and they call that a construction loan, okay? That technically is exactly what these clowns are claiming is fraud. So in a construction loan, you have a piece of property, and you're going to build a house on that piece of property, and when it's all said and done, that property is going to be worth this, right? So in that construction loan process, you're able to borrow the money at that rate to build that property and do those things because the projected value is seen to be that. That is what this clown of an attorney general, and that's what this clown of a judge are calling fraud. Tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of those loans are done every year in the United States. Not only are tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of loans like that done every year in the United States, they are also done in most developed countries around the world because that's how you build properties. That's how you develop properties. That's how United States developers across the country put in a dozen homes in a place and then sell them at the price. It's based on the same type of lending concept. So for these idiots to claim that this is fraud is an unpassable, fallible joke. But the issue with what New York has done is this clown of a judge has just created precedential law that says you cannot invest here like you can everywhere else. Okay, so that's the problem for you, New York. That's the problem for you, New York politicians. That's the problem for you, New York citizens. And I'm not just talking about the city, I'm talking about the entire state. Because there's other cities in New York besides New York City. Okay, they're going to be impacted by investors because of this blunder of an idiot of a judge and a blunder of an idiot of an attorney general that were put into positions in New York City that unfortunately impact the entire state of New York. So now what you have is you have investors, and you can see it online. That's what they're talking about. You can see Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, and you can see a couple other guys like Grant Cardone and a few other folks that were saying they were going to invest in New York this year, but now they decided they're not going to. They'll just put the money elsewhere. Hey guys, I invite you to put the money in Texas. Texas is growing by leaps and bounds. Please come down to the Lone Star State and see what you can do to invest here. Houston, Dallas, Austin, they're all great. We have great natural powers sources. And that's one of the things about New York. What's so attractive about the state of New York is you have Niagara Falls, which produces a lot of energy, right? So the infrastructure around power should be secure. But these idiots just jacked up that for all the possible investors, both foreign and domestic, right? So you got to think about the investors from China and Japan and Germany and elsewhere in the world that would invest into New York City. That state has now been closed for investment based on this decision. Because here's the point. At any given time, these idiots can now use this as a precedent to say somebody they don't like who's not politically appropriate to their viewpoint is breaking the law by fraud by doing a standard construction type loan or a standard investment type loan to build out a property. And that's nonsense. That's not how the way things are done in America. And I tell you what, it's frankly, it's un-American. When you go after a citizen for creating wealth in the city where they live, for creating jobs, for creating tax-paying jobs in that area, and you don't have an understanding of how that is going to affect where you live, you deserve to get what comes with it. My suggestion to the state of New York is get rid of these people ASAP. Have that thrown out and have it decided as unconstitutional. Someone file a grievance around this so it can be called out and called down. Otherwise, the next 10 years, you'll see New York will do exactly what Detroit and exactly what Chicago did. When you use politics to drive decisions and penalize American citizens that are productive citizens, then you deserve what you get. There's a lovely series of books called The Fall of Rome. You can get it where it's in one big book or broken out into 12 different subchapters. I suggest that anybody doesn't understand what this looks like, read that, because this is exactly how you get that done. You start taking the money, you start taking the opportunity out of your area for private citizens, for private investors, and what happens is people start fighting for the scraps that are already there, and then it comes apart. It'll still be of value later on. So when everything collapses, somebody down the road will buy it at a wholesale price and then re-up and start doing things again productively, because that is the American way. That is the way of all capitalism. Sooner or later, somebody is going to know how to make money off the husk that remain. But the fact that these people are so stupid and politics is their driving force, not doing good, not taking care of the citizens, not looking out for businesses and supporting the folks that pay taxes and take care of them and make sure they have their jobs. They're not doing that. They're there to prove a political point and completely unaware of the ripple effect that will come from that. If you like subject matter like this, I wanted to talk about that. We'll have another one, a video similar to this here in a little bit where we're going to talk about education for a moment. But if this type of information is important to you and you're interested in this, please like and subscribe. We have videos around history and wisdom that comes from everywhere. This is just one thing that's from a precedentary standpoint is a pretty immense blunder, which I think will be studied for quite some time. So I'm Ben. Welcome to the channel. If you like, please subscribe. Be good.